Why do the New Zealand Warriors stink at Mount Smart Stadium? That is one of the biggest mysteries in Aotearoa right now, and I welcome all your ridiculous theories, hypotheses, Socrates, philosophies, and any other ideas about why the Warriors are losing in front of their biggest crowds at Mount Smart Stadium this season. I only want your ridiculous theories, your magical, your imaginative, your crazy ideas about the bad juju at Mount Smart Stadium. And it goes even further than the Warriors because according to ozstadiums.com, the best source for NRL and A-League crowds, there have been 5 crowds at Mount Smart Stadium this year of 25,000 or bigger. The Warriors have 3 of them, Raiders, Eels, Panthers, and Auckland FC have 2 of them. They have the 2 biggest crowds, 29,000, 27,000. Of those 5 games, the home team, Auckland FC or the Warriors, have won 1 of them. So Auckland FC and the Warriors are 1-4 at Mount Smart Stadium when they have a crowd of 25,000 or bigger. That's no home advantage right there. And if we include the crowd of 24,200 versus the Titans, the Warriors have lost all 4 of their games with the biggest crowds at Mount Smart Stadium this season. Add into that the Warriors are 5-5 at Mount Smart Stadium this year, and they are 8-3 in Australia. So there is some nitty gritty here, being the away team for the trip to Donald Trump land to start the season, being the home team for Magic Round, I think it was. So you got to dive deeper than the home and away record. And of course, the Warriors have played in Christchurch this year as well. Massive crowd in Christchurch. Shout out to South Island Rugby League. Warriors defeated the Knights in Christchurch earlier in the year. If we just stick to Mount Smart Stadium and games in Australia, the Warriors are 5-5 at Mount Smart Stadium and 8-3 in Australia. There is no clear home advantage for the Warriors at Mount Smart Stadium. They're 50-50. Now, we're in finals mode, and there's a lot of top 4 chitter-chatter. Top 4, top 4, top 4, top 4. I understand that to win the NRL Championship, you basically got to be a top 4 team. Not necessarily because of the home advantage in playing finals at your home stadium, but you get a couple of opportunities. So, yes, as far as the NRL Championship hopes taking a dip by not being in the top 4, I understand that. But if you were still thinking that the Warriors were an NRL Championship contender, given everything that we've seen this year, I don't know what to say. Like, that's a little bit crazy. That's a little bit irrational. That's a little bit too optimistic. It's a little bit too positive about everything we have seen the Warriors do in the NRL this year. They are a good team, right? Grateful that the Warriors are just the top 8 regular team as opposed to always finishing 10th, 12th, 13th or 14th. Add in the injuries, add in all the young talent, and my belief that the Warriors can win the NRL Championship has diminished as the season's gone on. I don't think that is a ludicrous statement, and you probably feel the same way. But based on what we have seen at Mount Smart Stadium and in Australia, I don't think top 4 matters as far as setting the Warriors up for 1 finals win, maybe 2 finals wins. Because 4 losses in front of your 4 biggest crowds this season, those are some ingredients for finals footy. If the Warriors were to make the top 4, they would be playing in front of a big crowd, 25,000 and more, at Mount Smart Stadium. Well, they've lost all those games this season with big crowds at Mount Smart Stadium. So there's no advantage for the Warriors to be playing home finals based on what they have delivered in front of their home fans at Mount Smart Stadium. The flip side of that is they've been really good in Australia. 8-3 record in Australia. They had 3 wins in a row in Australia during the middle of the season. What came after those 3 wins in Australia? A loss at Mount Smart. What came after that loss at Mount Smart? I think that might have been the Raiders' loss. They had 2 wins in Australia. So they had 3 wins in a row in Australia. Then they came back to Mount Smart Stadium. Then they had 2 more wins in Australia. Then they had another loss at Mount Smart Stadium. I think that was the Panthers game. So the Warriors are actually quite good in Australia this season. If we take out all the headlines, all the news reporting, all the media stuff, all the top 4 chitter chatter, the best scenario for the Warriors to win a finals game this year appears to be playing in Australia. It makes no sense at all. And we can do our best to understand the magical forces at work with Mount Smart Stadium, the temple of Mount Smart Stadium. But for whatever reason, the Warriors just aren't that good at Mount Smart Stadium, especially in front of big crowds, especially in finals-like atmospheres. And at the same time, they're quite good in Australia. If we look at these losses at Mount Smart, it was one thing to lose to the Raiders and the Panthers at Mount Smart Stadium. We would hope that the home advantage would help the Warriors beat better teams, but the Raiders and Panthers, they're pretty good at rugby league, so that's all right. I'm not going to be too upset about those losses against the 2 good teams at Mount Smart Stadium this year. But since then, the Warriors have had losses against the Dolphins, the Titans, and the Eels. None of them are in finals footy. So if we just focus on those 5 losses at Mount Smart Stadium, which are the 5 losses at Mount Smart Stadium because they're 5-5 at Mount Smart Stadium, 8-3 in Australia, 2 of them are against top 8 teams, Raiders, and then Panthers, who are down in 7th. 3 of them are against bottom 8 teams, Dolphins, Eels, and Titans. Doesn't make any sense. I don't understand. But the main point, the main takeaway here is that the top 4 stuff matters for winning an NRL championship. You get 2 opportunities to lose a game and stay in the finals. I don't think the Warriors are going to win an NRL championship this year, so I'm lowering my bar of expectations. My bar of expectations or my hopes are just a finals win, maybe 2, and keep the train moving forward. The best situation to do that is playing in Australia, and it would be pretty sad if the Warriors made the top 4, got a home final, lost that home final in front of another big crowd. So again, none of this makes sense. It doesn't make sense for me to come at you and say it's good that the Warriors didn't finish in the top 4 or aren't going to finish in the top 4. Maybe they still will. Who knows? But there is clear evidence to suggest that the best way for them to get a finals win is playing in Australia based on the results and the performances this year, because those losses at Mount Smart Stadium have all been pretty similar, where we're getting a lot of drop ball. The opposition is just fizzed up. They're more excited. The Raiders were going crazy at Mount Smart Stadium. The Eels were going crazy at Mount Smart Stadium. The Titans were excited. The Panthers were excited. The Dolphins were so excited they won in the last minute. Weird stuff going on here, and it was overall a tough weekend for the Warriors in the NRL and NRLW. The NRLW team had a loss to the Dragons, and the Dragons weren't really that good, but the Warriors were worse. And I somehow, again, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but the Warriors woman, I'm still proud of what they're doing on a rugby league field in the NRLW. And it's None of this is going to help them win NRLW games because it's a tough competition. Same with the NRL. A lot of experienced players, a lot of experienced teams, championship pedigree, players who play State of Origin, players who play New South Wales Women's Premiership, Queensland Premiership as around the NRLW duties. If you have a young team, if you have an inexperienced team, none of that's going to help you win NRLW games, and that was kind of the issue against the Dragons again, with just errors and untidy defense, lack of organization, lack of crisp execution, none of which should be surprising given the amount of young players on show in that game and this season, which we've talked about before. Last week against the Sharks, Kaylin Takitimu Cook made her debut, and then this week against the Dragons, Paris Pickering, who's originally from Auckland, had been playing in Queensland's Premiership. She was signed midweek by the Warriors. Then she is starting at centre against the Dragons. So somehow each week there has been an escalation of the depth being tested and challenged for the Warriors woman, which is not conducive with winning NRLW games, but it's very exciting about the future of the Warriors women's team moving forward, and also the rugby league talent on the women's side of things coming out of Aotearoa. We've already seen that with how many players are playing in New South Wales and Queensland. We've already seen it with the Bulldogs stacking their first NRLW team full of players from Aotearoa. We've already seen it with every NRLW team having players from Aotearoa. There is something interesting here with the Warriors women's team though, because all the young players from Aotearoa who came from, I'm going to say like Wharapama Cup or local rugby league. Because if you're coming from the Black Ferns and you're a young player like Patricia Maliepo, you got that high performance background from elite rugby union. But there's a whole group of players who are youngsters starting their NRLW careers who came from the lower tier of rugby union and or local rugby league in Auckland. Tairawettere, Peyton Takimoana, Pickering, Takitimu Cook, Ashley Matapo, Lydia Turoa Quedley, Marere Puketapu, Kaya Atai, Metanoia Whatumoala, Avery Rose Carmont. They're all doing pretty well, and they all played against the Dragons from lower level rugby league, lower level rugby union, and again, it's really difficult for those players to contribute to winning rugby league against decent NRLW teams, but they will be so much better for this experience, and they've all shown that they are capable of playing NRLW footy for the next few years. Like, take Tairawettere, for example. Very impressive on the wing. Ahead of the season, I thought she was a half. I thought she was a fullback, and she is, I think she's 19 years old, playing her first little stint of high-level rugby league, out of position, and she still makes meters. She still rips in. She still has a crack, and that goes for every other young player for the Warriors women, even the young Aussies who are there, Emanita Paki, Lavinia Kitai, Falila Kia, players like that who have also done a solid job. So I don't think, like, it's tough to watch. The Warriors women, they're not playing great rugby league. It's easy to see how and why they're losing games, but as a starting point for their return to NRLW and as a building block for women's rugby league in Aotearoa, this is very exciting and fills me with optimism and faith that good stuff is happening here, which also applies for the other Warriors teams who actually had wins this weekend. New South Wales Cup Warriors had a 20-12 win over the Newcastle Knights, and the Jersey Flegg Warriors had a 28-20 win over the Newcastle Knights. Do you know what's you want to know what's funny? Let's stay with Aotearoa Rugby League. The Knights New South Wales Cup team, Players from Aotearoa, Kiwi NRL Juniors, played their junior rugby league or rugby union in Aotearoa. Hami Loza, he's under 19, starting half in New South Wales Cup for the Knights. Francis Manalelua, edge forward. Tyrone Thompson's on the bench. Let's go to the Knights under 21 team. First time looking at their team, so this will be Freestyle Sasai Latu on the wing. Cullen Graves from Northland, he was in the halves. Tama Kaimoana Whare Aorere, he is from Te Puke, I believe. Rotorua Boys High School, starting prop. Tikaio Cranwell, Linwood Jr. from Christchurch, starting prop. Xavier Lynch, also from Christchurch, edge forward. Bailey Carmichael, I think he's also from Te Puke, went to Rotorua Boys High School. He's on the bench. The Knights are full of Kiwi NRL juniors. Back to the Warriors, back to impressive building blocks and faith in good systems. The Warriors had 2 wins. So they had a loss in NRL, loss in NRLW, but they had New South Wales Cup wins and a New South Wales Cup win and a Jersey Flegg Cup win over in Australia. So now we get into the NRL team. They have a better record in Australia than they do at Mount Smart Stadium in Auckland. The New South Wales Cup team, they got a fantastic record either way. They're 11-1 at home, 10-1 away. I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty of home away Mount Smart Australia for these levels. It's CBF. Jersey Flegg Cup, they are 5-6 at home, 5-5 away. There is a thread of these 3 teams winning in Australia. That seems crazy. That seems like something that all Warriors fans have been hoping for a while. Like, how do we get these teams to win in Australia, having to travel and all that stuff? So it's pretty good signs for the Warriors system there. And I'll take it one step further. A pretty good sign for the Warriors system is that the Warriors New South Wales Cup team is 21-2-12 this season. They are 11 points clear at the top of the table. And the team is full of under 21 players. Against the Knights, there were 10 players who are 22 years or younger. I go 22 years because Toby Crosby, the Greytown geezer, he's 22 years. Everyone else is 21 years. Sio Kelly, Luke Hanson, Jet Cleary, Makai Tafua, Harry Durbin, Kalis Fatiolofa, Jason Salalilo, Toby Crosby, Rodney Tuipolotuvea, Jacob Auloa. You know what's interesting there? Both halves are under 21s. Luke Hanson, Jet Cleary. Both hookers are under 21s as well. Makai Tafua and Jacob Auloa. So it's not like we just have these young forwards who are big, fast, mobile. That's usually what the Warriors have. It's not like there's just a freaky outside back like Sio Kelly. Like the Warriors usually have that. They are a dominant New South Wales Cup team right now, because earlier in the season, Tana Boy, Tamaita Martin, Sam Healy, all those characters were involved. Right now, the Warriors are still winning with 2 under 21 halves and 2 under 21 hookers. Add in winning in Australia. Add in the Jersey Flegg Cup team winning in Australia. Add in an NRLW team that is performing admirably with young players, and an NRL team that has a better record in Australia than they do at Mount Smart Stadium. And these are very cool wrinkles to the Warriors season. It doesn't help anyone feel better about losing to the Eels, the Titans, and the Dolphins at Mount Smart Stadium. It doesn't help anyone get more optimism about the Warriors winning an NRL championship. But if you can dig below the surface, there is a lot of really strong, positive, cool foundations happening at the Warriors. So shout out to you. And I would still like to hear your crazy, ridiculous fantasy theories about why the Warriors are losing at Mount Smart and why there's such bad juju at Mount Smart, going back to the Auckland FC stuff as well. Once again, I'll repeat, the 5 biggest crowds for Mount Smart Stadium this year between Auckland FC, New Zealand Warriors. There's 1 win, there's 4 losses. Makes no sense. Cheer to you.